Grammy-winning songs, the Tony-winning moves. Ain't Too Proud. The life and times of the Temptations.
Coming up on Janice Edwards TV, Bay Area Vista, we ain't too proud to beg. We are asking you to join us as we talk with two members of the cast of Ain't Too Proud, the story of the Temptations. That's coming up. Plus, we are continuing our celebration of 20 years of Bay Area Vista. So we'll have some highlights from that. And we'll continue following the adventure of the Mitchell family, the family of four who packed up their California home and are traveling the world. That's all coming up next. Join us.
Janice Edwards, it's showtime. It's time to Janice Edwards, it's showtime. It's time to Janice Edwards, it's showtime. It's showtime. Your time to shine.
Welcome to Janice Edwards TV, Bay Area Vista. I'm Janice Edwards, and I'm so glad you're joining us today. We are beginning with an interview with two members of the cast of Ain't Too Proud, the life and times of the Temptations, an iconic group that had hits in the 60s and hits that then spanned generations. So if you haven't heard anything about the show, here's a little preview.
If I have to beg and plead for your sympathy, I don't mind, 'cause you mean that much to me. Ain't too proud to beg, and you know it. Please don't leave me, girl, don't you go.
We have the stars from Ain't Too Proud with us today. Michael Andreas, who plays Barry Gordy, the iconic Barry Gordy, is joining us. Michael, welcome to the Bay Area. And how has it been for you being here so far with the show?
It was a lot of fun. And I'm really loving the city and loving the weather. We just came from Denver, where it was actually ended up being pretty nice, but it was pretty cold some of the days. So I much prefer the weather here for sure.
What did you learn first about the music industry from that time and about Barry Gordy in particular?
I think, as we all know, historically there were two different sets of charts. You know, and the big thing was trying to break over into the pop chart because, you know, they tried to keep Black music separate from everything else. And Barry's ultimate vision was to overcome that, and he had to face a lot of tough challenges. You know, the government was against him at one point. You know, tried to get him for taxes and just all kinds of things that were stumbling blocks to him eventually reaching the levels that he did. You know, like I said, I've been a music fan my whole life, so I kind of had an idea of what that struggle was like. But I think the great thing about this show is that it captures so many different levels of what the Temptations went through. It definitely doesn't just cherry pick all the good moments. You know, they had some struggles internally as well as from external sources. So, you know, all of that put together just makes such a compelling story for me. And I was just glad to be a part of it.
Dwayne, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the Bay Area. And how for you has this experience been in San Francisco at the Golden Gate?
Good morning. First of all, thank you guys so much for having us. It's truly an incredible honor to, one, be here to speak with you guys, but two, to be on this incredible journey. Like Michael has probably already told you. For me, it's been kind of a surreal experience. It's one thing to be a part of a story that is, created by storytellers and tells, a journey of different characters, but it's a different thing to be a part of a story and a journey from people who have lived on this earth and are living on this earth. So that's always an incredible experience. And it's so much fun to be able to step into the shoes of Dennis Edwards every night and to tell this collective story of a group of men who have, gone through blood, sweat, and tears to make their dreams come true, but to also progress and move forward a people and a sound and a music. So it's been great. It's been great. I'm still soaking it all in.
Yes, and certainly your character, Dennis Edwards, came in after David Ruffin was no longer with the group.
Ain't too proud to please, baby, please don't leave me, girl, don't you go.
It was just my imagination.
There's so many great songs. Do you have a favorite of all of those that you sing?
I will probably say my favorite song in the show that I sing is probably "Papa Was a Rolling Stone." Only I'm not going to give too much away, but only because you really get to see um, how emotion played a huge part in how they spoke to their audiences and how their audiences received the sound and the music. So that's one of my favorite songs that I sing in the show.
That is I was listening to that again last night, and just even the intro and the anticipation and the strings, just the artistry of that, even before you hear those first words. And then, of course, we know it was the 3rd of September, that day I'll always remember. It was just like, boom, such an iconic storytelling. And that's something that this music, that's one of the reasons I think this music appeals to generations as it does, because it just transcends that, and there's something that speaks to everyone.
But my life is incomplete and I'm so blue, 'cause I can't get next to you. I can't get next to you, baby. I can't get next to you.
And this is about dreams coming true. So what does it mean for you to have your dream come true, to be in this show that has been award-winning and just really transcends in so many ways?
Oh my goodness, such a loaded question, and such a loaded answer that I'm about to give you. There, there's a saying that was spoke over my life from the time that I joined this tour, and I play it over in my mind every single day that I have the opportunity to step on the stage. And it's nothing to prove, but everything to share. And that is a quote that was told to me by my beautiful castmates when they prayed over me before my first time going on as Dennis Edwards. And it's so true, the journey that it takes to be able to, carry the legacy of such prestige, like Michael was saying, it's an honor. It really is a gift to be able to do that and to share that, the music that withstands the test of time. So it's an incredible honor, and I'm grateful to continue to grow and to learn every single night. And that's the thing about being an artist. You never reach a point where you're like, oh, I know the show, so we're done. These are humans who are walking and have walked the earth. So how can we put ourselves in their shoes even more every single time we get to tell this story? It's definitely a journey, and I'm incredibly honored and grateful to be here and to have such supportive cast members and people that I learn from every single day. I wish you guys can see what happens behind the stage, because it's just as much of a show as it is on the stage. But to just to literally take notes from every single person and part of this cast, it's beautiful. I'm grateful, forever grateful.
It's an amazing story, and I'm so glad that you're here and sharing it. And thank you both for being here with us today. We want to remind everyone that the show Ain't Too Proud is available now for you to enjoy in San Francisco at the Golden Gate Theater through December 4th. So thank you both for being here. Blessings to you. Enjoy this holiday season, and thank you for what you're doing to inspire us all. Really appreciate you being here.
Ain't too proud to beg.
The Grammy-winning songs, the Tony-winning movies. Ain't Too Proud. The life and times of the Temptations. At the Golden Gate Theater, November 9th. Tickets at BroadwaySF.com.
And speaking of enjoying the show, we want to invite you to enjoy some highlights as we continue our celebration of 2 decades, yes, 20 years of Bay Area Vista, thanks to you and your support. Take a look.
In Gordon's case, I think that his gravitas, the reason why he kept going for this one last job was to make sure that he could look after his sister and perhaps nourish her out of her habit. And in real life, I don't have any brothers and sisters, but I would do that. I would, work even harder to get my family straight if they needed that.
All right, I'm an only also, so I know.
You are.
But you're not spoiled, are you?
I spoil myself.
That's a good thing.
I hope they like the movie. But I also hope for maybe just people my age, because that's not that I can speak for people my age, but what it taught me and what it showed me that maybe I hadn't been so exposed to before. Even though it's fictional, it's historical fiction, and I think there's so much to learn and to gain from this time period and this story. And I hope and bravery and the ability to recognize that we all have something extraordinary within us that can incite positive change no matter what our background is.
The health and vibrancy of our country is clear. It doesn't mean we still don't have progress to make in the economy, but we've come so far. Now, thanks to the Affordable Care Act, everyone in America can have health insurance, and you don't have to worry about going broke or going without if you don't have insurance. No one can be discriminated against for pre-existing conditions. Young people can stay on their parents' plan until they're 26. Women have access to preventive care and contraception without any copay. Just an important building block to keep our country safe. So that's a part of the president's legacy as well. So we have much to be proud of, reducing our dependence on foreign oil, developing a national climate change agreement with hundreds of countries all committed to working with us to ensure that we leave our planet in better shape than we found it. So a lot is going well, but I will say to you, the toxicity which we see in Washington, in Congress, is just unconscionable. And it's been that way since day one, but it's just consistently, my observation is, people who put their short-term political interests ahead of what's good for our country. And that's very frustrating. And you mentioned, right now we have members of the House just sitting in on the floor of the House because they have been unable to get their colleagues in the Republican side of the House to call a vote. I have so much advice for people because I think about just my journey and where I made it harder on myself than it needed to be. And I think that part of when I was at that law firm, I was trying to just live up to somebody else's expectations of me. And I used to sit there and go, this must be somebody else's life. This could not be my life because I am miserable. And I let myself be miserable longer than I should have. And I think it took a good friend to come and say to me, leave. It's okay. You can go on a different path. Just because this is the path that people think is a great path, it's not your path. And I think what I often say to young people is find your own path. And it's good to get advice, but ultimately it's that quiet voice inside of you that you should listen most closely to.
Gabby, I'll start with you. How has working on Precious changed your life?
It certainly has opened my eyes to different Preciouses in the world.
Twisted soul music into funk. Let's give a Summerfest warm welcome to George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelic.
Put your hands in the air. Put your hands up. Put your hands up.
This is a great way for us to certainly to brand San Jose as a cultural center in the community. I know that the city grew so fast, and because of the nature of tech and all the changes in the community here, we really haven't had the opportunity to develop the cultural center that I think that other big cities have. San Jose Jazz puts us on the map, and it's something we hope will really grow organically in the years ahead.
We played a club here in San Jose many, many years ago. What's the name? Safari Club. And we used to play it every week, I guess for about 6 months. And we were able to do all of our creating and whatever we did, and thank God for San Jose, they kept us going.
Well, we're glad to welcome you back. It's always an honor to talk with Dennis Richmond, veteran broadcaster, and also a friend of Faith Fancher's. Let's talk about Faith.
Faith and I did so many events together, and it was always a pleasure when she walked in the room would light up.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Miss Faith Fancher.
Even when she was ill, she would come in and, people would go, Faith, how you doing? Faith, how you doing? She would say, leave me alone. Faith.
Right.
She didn't go for the sympathy thing.
Any thoughts these days about the challenges that journalists are facing?
Oh my goodness gracious, this is worse than challenges. It is worse than challenging. It is really having to remake yourself for today's world. It's a world where machines count far too more than humans. And I think it must be hard for journalists to get used to that because we always thought we were special because we could digest information and analyze. And, now they push a button and some rhythms. But for people who succeed in it, I commend them. I commend them because it means you really, really do have to look far into the future as to how you're going to survive in this business. Yeah.
Well, it's always wonderful to see you, and thank you so much for your inspiration, your groundbreaking, and for being a friend of Faith.
Well, I've known you since you were a child, my dear.
Yes. I was an intern at Cron on Belva's show, and it's always such an honor. And I like her saying I was a child when that began.
That's of course.
What would you like for people to remember most about Faith?
Well, I think Faith was a woman of great integrity and character and great dignity and elegance.
And he's this rambunctious guy. He's got all this energy and he's upset with people, and so I didn't meet him for a whole year. And on his 30th birthday, the nursing supervisor, she said, well, come on, Mark, you got to come out and meet Daryl. So I said, all right, fine. So went out because they had a little party for him with cake and all that, and met him. And we just we hit it off, and we've been friends ever since. So since September 16th, 1990, we've been great friends.
Yes. And Daryl, for you, how has Mark helped you as a friend?
He's been a big friend when I need him, and just been really one of the biggest activists when I need to know something in healthcare or just something in life.
More news at 11 from Kids Fair and at NBC11.com. I'm Janice Edwards.
And I'm Madeline Finn.
Very nice. Good job, Madeline.
Janice Edwards.
Good evening, and thank you so much. Give yourselves a round of applause for being here tonight to start off our new season.
Owning my story has been very beneficial to me. And I am so blessed to be a part of a movie where this man has uplifted the lives of the ordinary person. The person who's moving through their lives, and once they're gone, you think to yourself, did their lives matter? I know they're not Katherine Johnson and Mary Jackson and, Dorothy Vaughan, who were just STEM women who put the first rocket in space. I know they're not Medgar Evers or Martin Luther King, but did they matter? Did they live? Did they contribute anything? And here's this man who comes along, August Wilson, who says, yes, they did. They breathed. They lived a life. And as long as you're living a life, you've got a story. And that specific story is what changes the world. You're seeing it now on Facebook, where people don't own their stories. I know of people who don't even like poor people, and I know that they grew up poor because they got free lunch with me. I know people who don't believe in health care, and I know for a fact they make less than $20,000 a year. Own it. That is how you live a life bigger than yourself.
Janice, I want to congratulate you. It was a well-deserved award tonight, and I've known you for many years here in the city of San Jose and various capacities, and you've really been a boon for the community. I think one thing that really I remember and cherish was the time you had Ed Clausell and I on your show to explain those special dishes that we made and so forth. And that was a lot of fun. But your outreach to the community is great, and we love you.
We are so grateful to you for all of your support through these 2 decades of bringing our show to you. Thank you again. In a previous show, we shared the story of the Mitchell family, Kysha, Eric, and their 2 children, who packed up their California home on a mission to travel the world in 1 year, visiting 7 countries and exploring new places that they might one day call home. Here's an update from their time in Mexico.
We are out here.
Hey family, I know you're wondering like what the heck happened to the Mitchell family? How come they haven't posted anything? Well, so many things have been taking place. Let me back up and say this is our 2nd week here in Merida, Mexico. We're on one of the main thoroughfares. Kysha and I just dropped off some clothes to the laundry. We
La bandería.
We stopped into another smoothie stand and spent about a half hour talking to this beautiful lady there, and she was just telling us about the area where she was from and so forth. But kids are back at the Airbnb, knocked out sleep, and we just out. We decided we're going to get out a little bit today. And to be truthful, guys, I have been dead dog sick. This is probably the first day in the past couple of weeks that I felt, decent. And that's been part of the reason you haven't heard from us. And I feel like I've kind of probably slowed the family down. They're waiting on me to get better.
Oh, careful. That's this.
It was at this moment that he knew. He f***ed up.
Yeah, that's the thing about these sidewalks. Listen, that is Mexico for you, boy. These are beautiful. It's one of the mansions of the families that made like their fortunes here at the turn of the century. They're really beautiful, and they have tours and everything too. You want to stop? No, go ahead. Go ahead, babe. I just want to. No. I just wanted to stop because it's hard for me to wait.
We will start posting regularly. That is a commitment that we've made to do with so many of our family and friends. So it was a major ordeal. We truly underestimated how much it would take for us to leave the States. And by no means did we feel like, we probably could have done it a little bit differently, a little bit better. We left so many, things boxed up. And it wasn't like we were able to sit everything. Got through a lot, but between that, renting our home, just personal things. For me, my father just passing away, and us going to Alabama and spending time with my family there. One of Kysha's really dear friends passing away. So we just had a lot. We've had a lot going on our hearts. Lots going on. Just trying to get. And then once we get here, go down sin. So this is not how we intended the trip to start, obviously, but that's part of the travel journey, right?
Yep.
That we have to be ready to deal with whatever happens and comes our way. We were in an Airbnb last week. Beautiful place. Loved it. It was huge. The Airbnb we're in now, just rife with issues. Moved in, internet didn't work. I don't know how they didn't know the internet didn't work, because they had somebody like crawling through on the ceiling, just doing all kinds of stuff to get this internet working. Finally got it working. Yesterday the plumbing went out. No showers, no water. They were talking about they would show up at 11 o'clock, didn't come until after 5, all day. And then, not only that, but the major thing was Airbnb people, they own the property right next door, and it's really interesting because it's almost like co-joined. It's like they share a similar wall and all kinds of stuff, but there's construction. So from 8 o'clock in the morning until 5 in the afternoon, there's banging. And I mean like loud banging.
And like banging, not like just a little bit of construction, like literally they're like sculpting the concrete or something. They're like banging. That is the construction that's going on right next to our bedroom.
They didn't tell us.
Yeah.
No mention of it, nothing. All things being equal, we're grateful. We're despite all that, we're having a good time. We're happy.
Hey, family. So, as Eric said, yeah, we have come down here and we're learning lessons. We are learning lessons, but I think the main thing was us getting sick. The kids were fine, but me and Eric kind of went down, and actually, I think it was also us just needing to slow down. Like, we have been, like, just going. And it's kind of one of those things where, that push and pull. Like, if you don't slow down, then you're going to get slowed down. So I kind of feel like that was it, It was a little bit of, like, just be still.
When I was 15, I spent a summer studying in Mexico and living with a family in Jalapa, Veracruz. And seeing the Mitchells on their adventure sparked such warm memories. We hope that this inspires you to connect with your desired life adventures. And please connect with us. Let us know. And that's our show. I'm Janice Edwards. Thanks for all that you do to make our world a better place. And as I said at the beginning, we ain't too proud to beg. Please join us again next time. We look forward to seeing you then.